Welcome to Kane Touch This. I managed to find a cinema showing Clerks 3, and as Clerks is my favourite movie, I just had to see it. I didn't see it with a cast like so many other people giving it rave reviews. I saw it in a practically empty theatre. There were 5 people at the viewing in total. Maybe that's also not the best way to see it either, but it certainly cuts out the bias. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and feelings on the film. As you can tell by the title, I thought it sucked. But that's putting it mildly. I had incredibly low expectations and it managed to surpass them and be even worse than I feared. I will be spoiling the whole thing, but first I want to give my spoiler-free thoughts. The jokes were rehashes of old jokes from the Clerks series, but told worse. The film is not funny at all. I can't think of a single moment I laughed. I can't even remember a part where I even smiled. The film is relentlessly depressing. Every major plot point sticks the knife in further, and then in the last 20 minutes it twists the blade. Jeff Anderson, normally my favourite actor in these films playing my favourite character, is awful in this. He's got nothing to do except be a dickhead, and not even a funny one. Brian O'Halloran tries his best, and if you've heard Kevin Smith say this is Randall's film, then just be aware he's lying. This is a Dante story through and through, and it's awful. The trailer does not portray the tone or feel of the film in any way. It's not a happy-go-lucky film about friends making a movie. I can say that Clerks 3 doesn't play things safe. I'd say it plays things so dangerously that it's not even a comedy. I don't think it even tries to be one. If you have a morbid curiosity to see the film, I'd say go ahead, but if you're a big Clerks fan, like I am, I'd say think twice about it. I mean, come on. There are NFT jokes that lead to cringy cutaway gags. How do you do, fellow kids? As for Elias, the naive ultra-Christian character from Clerks 2, well, he's in a different funny outfit in every scene he's in, as if this is a Disney teen sitcom. Genuinely, I'm a huge Clerks fan, drowning in merchandise relating to the movies. I'm not the kind of person who says a sequel can ruin the previous films of the franchise, but for me, this does. Any progression or plot from Clerks, and Clerks 2 in particular, is murdered here by firing squad, pissed on, and then dissolved in sulfuric acid. I now know how certain Star Wars and He-Man fans feel. Anyway, that's my spoiler-free review. It fucking sucks. It's spoiler time. You have been warned. Alright, here's the plot. Dante and Randall still work at the Quick Stop. They own it since the events of Clerks 2. Via a quick shot of a memorial poster, we see that Dante's wife Becky is dead, and not only that, she's been dead since shortly after getting with Dante in Clerks 2. So soon after, in fact, she was still pregnant when she died. They play hockey on the roof, something that happened for story reasons before, but is now just something they do. So Elias arrives at work in the exact same way he did in Clerks 2. He's whistling a song in the car with his family. This time though, he's brought his new and silent friend, Blockchain Coltrane, and a bunch of Buddy Christ kites he's looking to sell at the store. Hey guys, remember Dogma? Dante goes to take a shit, like in Clerks 2, and Randall does his usual shtick of making fun of Elias, only this time he collapses and is taken to the hospital in an ambulance that Dante calls for him, in much the same way he called for the fire service. Also, like in Clerks 2. So it turns out Randall has had, or rather is having, a heart attack. They need to take him straight to the operating room, but Randall doesn't want to take his underwear off in front of Dante. Justin Long plays the nurse here, and it's not funny, like, at all. It's definitely trying to be. He makes Dante cover his ears like he made Jay and Silent Bob do in, again, Clerks 2, and tells the nurse that Dante thinks Randall's penis is huge, because that's what he's been telling him for forever, but it's actually really small and he's embarrassed. As he's taken to the OR, Dante sees a vision, or I guess a memory, of his wife being wheeled into the hospital. Now this part really took me out of the movie. I may be misremembering, but the fake pregnant belly they gave Becky on the scene was wobbling about so unrealistically it really sucked any emotion that the moment was supposed to have. I was already pissed that they ripped away Dante's happy ending from the previous film, and this was the first bit of salt that the movie put in the wound. Elias makes Dante pray to Jesus with him to save Randall, but when he thinks it's not working, he tears off his crucifix and prays to Satan instead. He believes that this has worked and decides to worship him instead of Jesus. This is why he's dressed in various silly goth outfits for the rest of the film. Are you having a great time yet, guys? In the OR, Randall is talking to the kooky and zany doctor about a bunch of pop culture stuff like The Mandalorian, and she tells him how the heart attack he's having, the Widowmaker, is a cool name like something out of the fictional franchise Ranger Danger. She operates and his life is saved. She tells him his dick isn't that small. The heart attack has a 20% survival rate. It's the same one Smith had, but it's played too humorously to seem like a big deal. Dante goes to see Randall and they show a 2-second badly animated clip of a Ranger Danger movie Randall is watching on TV from his hospital bed. Randall is whining about how he never did shit with his life but watch movies, and Dante says he always thought Randall could make a cool movie, and thus Randall decides he'll do just that. Strap in for the fun ride. Randall pens a script overnight set in the store with 2 clerks called Randy and Dan T, with supporting characters like Silent Bill. The doctor basically told Dante to do whatever Randall says, so Dante agrees to everything Randall asks, like financing the film, on a budget the exact same as the original Clerks film in real life, as well as holding auditions in the exact same real place the auditions happened where Clerks was actually made. Dante is annoyed reading the script because his role is so small, and Randall says that he's just a minor background character in the story. Dante's annoyed because he thinks this is how Randall sees him. Randall flat out says that's how he sees him. So the auditions are held, and it's cameo central. You've got Ben Affleck, The Impractical Jokers, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and a bunch more. The purpose here is for it to be cameo central, as well as for Randall to decide to drop the pseudonyms for the characters, and for everyone to play the parts he wrote for them, including the customers. There's another fantasy scene of Dante being sad that Becky is dead set at Becky's grave. Rosario Dawson is there doing her best with the material, saying she fucked a bunch of famous dead people in the afterlife like Malcolm X, and Dante says she probably went ass to mouth with them. She says he was more like Malcolm XXX. Imagine dreaming of your dead wife and she's just talking about cucking you in the afterlife. It's played very jovially as banter, so it's not as bad as it sounds. It's still pretty bad though. And then, like Clerks 2, Dante says Becky doesn't believe in romantic love, but I thought the point in that film was that she really does, but nah, turns out she doesn't. She says he should live his life that he has because she and their kid Grace, who is named after Kevin Smith's mother, didn't get to. O'Halloran and Dawson have good chemistry, but it's so maudlin and peppered with references to Clerks 2 that anything this scene might have had going for it is immediately diminished. Jay and Silent Bob aren't in the movie too much, but the scene where Silent Bob speaks is when he agrees to be the cinematographer and articulates very well that he wants it to be in black and white to show how humdrum working in a store is and will look as if it's filmed on a security camera. This echoes real-life reviews and sentiments people had while watching the original film, despite the only reason it was in black and white being budgetary. It's kind of a nice scene actually, it's probably the only one that works. Veronica from the original film turns up. Randall sent her the script and she's upset about the whole 37 dicks thing and gets mad. She says at least she has a family and then realises what she said because obviously Dante lost his, and then goes to her car and cries. Dante follows her, they reconcile, and she asks if he wants to have sex. They then have sex in Veronica's car while Randall, Jay and Silent Bob watch. Elias and his friend might be there too, I can't remember. Anyway, so much for being a grieving husband. They refilm parts of Clerks as they were in the original film, with making-of references for the fans like Jay only being able to dance when nobody is watching, getting the cat to shit in the litter tray, the heavy makeup on Randall for the scene in the video store with Veronica and him, and in another, Dante misses a word and gets chastised by Randall for not following the script, mirroring how Kevin Smith didn't want a single word of dialogue changed when filming the first film. There's also the bit where Randall wants to shoot a scene where Dante gets shot and killed, as in the first film's original ending. They do manage to get back a lot of minor characters briefly for these scenes, like the lady in the I don't appreciate your ruse scene, the girl who wants to rent the movie, and the Chudy's Gum representative. This isn't an exhaustive list. It's impressive that they got all these people back. The guy in the cat shitting scene barely looks any older, good for him. Bob Hawke, a big reason for Clerk's success, even appears at one point to reenact the Pringles can on the hand scene from the original film. Dante ends up borrowing money to finance the film from his ex-fiancée Emma, the director's real-life wife, reprising her role, and Randall continues to act like Dante wasn't a big part of his life and that he's not doing a good job helping him make his movie. He borrows it under the guise of hospital fees for Randall. Next, they're going to shoot the donkey show scene from Clerks 2 in movies, and Jay and Silent Bob get the staff high so they can sneak in, but Dante can't go in because he's reminded yet again of his dead wife and has another vision of her. Randall, of course, doesn't even think about it. He has another sad, weepy scene with his dead wife that sucks even more fun and energy out of the whole experience of this supposed comedy, and then leaves without going inside the restaurant. Randall gets pissed about this. This all culminates when they film the scene from Clerks 1 where Dante and Randall are arguing after Randall messes things up with him, Caitlin and Veronica. Dante goes off script and tells him how shit everything is because guess what, his wife's dead. and how Randall is self-absorbed and won't shut up about his heart attack, referencing people's criticism of Smith in real life. But then, Dante collapses, has a heart attack. In my last 2 videos I said Dante should have been the one who has a heart attack, so I guess I must be Nostradamus. Dante is taken to hospital and sent to be cared for, and Randall tells Elias that he's got to go back and make his movie. Elias calls him out on how shitty he's being for just leaving, and lets him know that Dante borrowed the money from his ex-fiancée. For some reason, this makes Randall want to finish the film, so that he can show it to Dante. Randall runs home and finishes the film, then gets Jay and Silent Bob to help him break into Dante's hospital room so he can show him it. Randall gets all upset and mopey and says that his life is Dante's life, and it's all very emotional. Dante holds his hand and they watch the film. It's another fantasy sequence. The film, it turns out, is a bunch of Dante clips from the original Clerks films, and he's watching it in the theatre, much like the one I saw Clerks 3 in, practically empty. So it's just him and Becky, and they obviously love it, and they go to leave before it's finished, and Becky asks if he wants to stick around and watch to the end. Dante says no, he trusts the director, and they leave out the screening room exit, implying the door to the afterlife, I guess. So yeah, Dante dies of the heart attack. I kept thinking this couldn't possibly be how Clerks 3 ends, but nah, it does. We don't see what becomes of the movie, and Randall never truly knows what Dante thinks of it. We cut to a funeral, and Randall ends the service with, "And I shit you not, he wasn't even supposed to be here today." Millie, Jay's daughter from Reboot, played by Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, she's at the funeral too. She looks over and smiles at Blockchain Coltrane, and that's her real-life boyfriend, so more meta shit basically. Suddenly, we're back at the store. Randall promotes Elias to the Dante position in his life, and doesn't seem that cut up really. He didn't seem too sad at the funeral either. Anyway, Emma, the ex-fiancée, comes in and says she wants her money back, or she'll own half of the Quick Stop. Suddenly, as if by Deus Ex Machina, Blockchain Coltrane comes in and says he's made $1 million selling Religious Kite NFTs. He's cashed out 100 grand and gives Elias his share, who then throws the money at Emma. We then get a shot-for-shot remake of the ending of Clerks 2, with a camera panning out to the back of the store, and there's a Force Ghost, or rather, a memory of Dante standing next to Randall. Millie from Reboot this time plays the role of the milkmaid that Smith's mother played in the previous 2 films before her. I guess it is kind of sweet that she's playing the role her grandmother played, but, you know. Anyway, then the credits roll, and there you have it. That's Clerks 3. It's fucking abysmal. There are hints Dante would die earlier in the film, like when the doctor says that if Dante has the same diet as Randall, he'll have a heart attack too, and the fact that it's clear that Dante checked out of life a decade and a half ago, and also the scene that Randall wants to shoot where Dante gets shot. I remember Smith talking about how in Clerks 2, Harvey Weinstein wanted Lister Fiend and Pillow Pants, the mouth and pussy trolls that Elias was talking about, to be cutaway gags of someone in a funny costume. Smith didn't want to do that shit and was right about it, and now we have Elias having gag costumes and cutaway jokes to NFT stuff. How far has this guy fallen? And Smith already did a "hey look, Jay's daughter has her own Silent Bob" joke in Reboot, and now we get it again with Elias's buddy Blockchain Coltrane, who finally talks at the end and provides a resolution in the film. I had a sinking feeling that grew the entire time I was watching the movie. It kept up the meta references over and over, digging into that well more and more until it was just bringing up stagnant water. When it found a new well, all it could pull out was bile and diarrhea. Jay and Silent Bob are like R2-D2 and C-3PO, says Randall, and references their place in the View Askew universe. Imagine getting bludgeoned by meta references. That's Clerks 3. They brought back the Rick Derris character and do nothing with him. It's not even specified that it's him. He takes issue with the Asian design major joke in the script, and there's woke talk here about why his race has to be mentioned. I don't think anyone takes issue with that part of the first film, but whatever. There's a scene where Dante and Randall are talking about previous events in their life, all of them taking place in the original film. All of their memories stem from that one day. I wish he'd have just said, remember that one fucked up day we had, and maybe then pepper in some memories we didn't see for ourselves from other points in their life. It makes it all seem as if all that happened to them was on that day. This further diminishes their supposed friendship. It's acted badly too. The way they talk back and forth with forced laughs is embarrassing. Their old chemistry is gone. Randall may as well have not been in the movie. He has a heart attack so Dante can be all weepy and doing everything for him, only for Dante himself to have a heart attack and die. I think the point Smith is trying to make is that it could have been him. He survived, but very nearly died, much like Randall and Dante respectively. This is a setup that doesn't suit these films at all, especially not done in this way. The music used in the film feels really insecure and amateur too. It's used way too loud and way too frequently in the background of dialogue scenes that you really feel that Smith doesn't have confidence in his writing anymore. The way he shoots scenes has always been very point and shoot, and he does seem to be moving the camera around more here, only there's no formal function to it, it just feels random. Clerks 2 was truly the perfect endpoint for these characters, and this is a long, depressing, drawn-out epilogue that only serves to shit on the last two films, regress the characters, and provide a thoroughly shitty ending to the story. It's a film that is manipulatively trying to make fans cry, and for me it wholeheartedly fails at that. So to sum it up, the filmmaking on the whole is shit, the script is beyond awful, the music use is distracting, the acting is subpar, and the film just isn't funny. Meta as fuck, self-referential to the point of nausea. I came out the theatre feeling empty and re-evaluating my love of the series. I've reviewed this film truly as a fan, not a fanboy. I refuse to blindly love a film because it's part of my favourite series. They fucking killed Dante, Dante's wife, Dante's child, flanderised the cast, and made Dante and Randall's friendship into a pile of shit, all to fail to make a point about the fragility of life. They literally replaced Dante at the end with Elias, a joke, comic relief side character. The worst part is, I feel partially responsible. I bought a signed copy of the Clerks X DVD, the signing event where Jeff Anderson and Kevin Smith patched up their differences, and Kevin broached the subject of writing a new Clerks 3 with Jeff on board. Being a fan and wanting to purchase some merchandise helped lead to this atrocity. The way this shit show ended at least puts to bed any likelihood of a Clerks 4. Smith should have got off the pot rather than let out this steaming pile of shit. My knowledge of all the references to previous films in the View Askew universe and the making of, add nothing to my experience. It actively detracts from it. If you've seen this movie and you genuinely liked it, then I'm sorry, I just don't understand. In fact, not only that, I actually envy you guys. Feel free to explain in the comments why you liked it. I'd like to see from your perspective and have a conversation about it. Nah, fuck it, whatever. I'll just rewatch the first two to cleanse myself of this colossal fuck up of a movie.